So, firstly, welcome, Rajan. It's a pleasure to have you here. This is the first of the series, right? And just to give you a little bit of context of Navigance, look, we built our story around one belief that enterprise productivity will fundamentally reimagine that, right? And we will, and you know what's happened in the last 4 years since we've formed is AI has really kind of transformed this entire story for us and accelerated that story on how we kind of imagine enterprise productivity. And with every new innovation that comes every week, there's a lot of hype. There is a lot of facade. There is a whole lot of uh, AI washing also that happens. So then the question really is, what is good and what is bad and what is ugly, right? Amongst all of this. And so that's why we kind of conceptualize this series where we want to just go beyond the hype and say, bring in practitioners, bring in product heads who've essentially kind of seen a lot of this actually operate in organizations at scale. And so when we kind of conceptualize this series, Rajan, I couldn't think of a better person than start with you. Rajan's kind of been driving the change at Deutsche Telekom, and it's really been a story I've been kind of following quite closely. So I'm very happy, Rajan, that you're here. We're really looking forward to kind of learning from you today. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Sid. Again, pleasure is mine as well for the invitation. And I think certainly exciting times. Certainly, the advantage that I got in last couple of years was the exposure that I got for solving large scale use cases with some of the state of the art approaches and methodologies. So, would love to share that. So, yeah, thanks for the invitation, and I'm happy to be here and interact with all of you. Okay.
So, hello everyone. Today we are honored to have Dr. Rajan Gupta with us. Dr. Gupta is an accomplished AI and data science leader with over 16 years of experience across AI ML product development, analytics research, consulting, and training. He currently serves as the Director of Data Science and AI ML at Digital Labs Deutsche Telekom, where he leads strategic initiatives in agentic AI, generative AI, and LLMs to solve the complex data challenges and drive business innovation. Dr. Gupta also holds a doctorate and postdoctorate in data science and AI and is a prolific author with 125 plus publications, including 8 books and several research papers in technology and management. He has received numerous recognitions, including being named among the top 100 AI leaders and 40 under 40 data scientists in India, and is also among the early certified analytics professionals from India associated with Informs in the United States. So please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Rajan Gupta. AI is becoming a big mandate for every global or local enterprise. However, often we don't get enough clarity on what kind of scope it has. We see enterprise AI is often different from personal AI. And for example, I might use some of the AI tool for my house management or for my learning, my personal learning, but it is vastly varying for enterprises at scale. Can you please throw some light on different types of enterprise AI systems and their impact?
Personally, we might be using a lot many things, and at an individual level, things can be really different from how we look at from the large scale enterprise point of view. So I think we have two lenses through which we generally view the enterprise AI systems. One is from the level of maturity, and the second is the kind of task that it does it for us. Now, from the levels of maturity point of view, we have slowly progressed in last couple of decades from an analytical organization to a more enterprise agentic AI-driven organization. Now, I'm sure most of you must have worked on the classic ML problems, the analytics, the dashboarding, the data products that used to be there for insights generation. So that was always the beginning level for any organizations at the maturity curve. And you saw, things like churn prediction or fraud detections or anomaly detections, price predictions, inventory predictions, depending on the different domains and verticals. There were a lot of different kinds of problems that were getting solved, and there was, more of supervised and unsupervised machine learning that was always used. Then, it got enhanced and got into the deep learning state, and then modality changed. A lot of computer vision, natural language processing came in. So the algorithmic behavior changed, but it was still part of the classical ML workflows. The next level came was around assistants and co-pilots. That is what we have been using of lately, most of us at the personal level, but also at the enterprise level. You'll see something like Microsoft Copilot or any sort of public search engine like Perplexity, Chat GPT, where you just have search and retrievals kind of things being done, no actions being taken up. So that's where assistants and co-pilots are helpful to understand the ecosystem around you, and you can talk to your data, talk to your enterprise knowledge bases, and dig in the information in a more intelligent way. Then the next level which came was workflow integrated copilot. So that is where you could automate the workflows with something like N8N or other workflow tool managers. You could create tickets, you could book calendars, you could summarize emails and send daily at, let's say, 8 a.m. in the morning, or 8 p.m. in the evening. So those kind of workflow started to get integrated within those co-pilots, and there was actions that were coming out of them. And lastly, that got further matured, and we got into a more robust enterprise AI systems where there were, either a single agent or a combination of multiple agents that were being designed, and there was a combination of different decision points that were being embedded into any of the AI systems, exuberating a lot of intelligence out of these kind of systems. So built over standard frameworks like LangGraph or ADKs or through AI Autogen. So we started to define these kind of systems, and that is where the current status is, that we are building enterprise AI systems on top of agentic framework. So that's the level of maturity that we have gone from level, let's say, 0 or 1 to level 3 or 4. Now, from the task perspective, I think enterprise AI systems are more or less divided into conversational AI, search and retrieval systems, which are based on RAGs, generation systems like chat GPT or image generations or music generation. You have agentic workflows and actions like N8N. You have translation systems where you are either translating from one language to another, whether it's computing language or a human language. You have cognitive augmentation systems, you have prediction systems, you have application development IDs like cursors and anti-gravity. So these kind of systems are generally used and developed inside enterprise AIs. And from the impact perspective, I think cost, revenue, and productivity remains the top three criteria for any business owner. And organizations are also looking towards the operational efficiency that is coming out of these systems. So it could be for a customer call service center, it could be call deflection. For a business function team, it could be average call handling time, time to resolve tickets, or something that sort of. So how you are bringing in the operational efficiency, which ultimately translates into cost, revenue, or productivity, is something that we see from the impact point of view. So as a team, I think from the enterprise AI systems point of view, design your roadmap to intentionally climb this ladder, not jump randomly from pilots to ambitious agents without foundations in some of the key components like data security and change management. And I think that's going to be the essence for enterprise AI systems.
Dr. Rajan, organizations often articulate ambitious AI strategies, right? But over a time, we have seen that execution remains difficult. In practice, what are the critical steps leaders often miss when translating AI strategy into production systems that actually deliver value?
I think the beauty of AI systems today is that none of the POC looks ugly. Everything looks beautiful. Everything looks super cool. No matter what you create, no matter what you do, everything looks believable. That's the power that we are seeing today with this kind of a technology evolution. But on the other side, you'll see reports like McKinsey stating 95% of the POCs fail to make into the production. Why? Because teams are under investing in data governance and operating model changes. That's the key to any POC to succeed and to grow into a full-fledged application. I think when we talk about pilots, MVPs, it's really easy to collate those kind of workable demonstrations and showing really cool features out of it. But it is all working on the curated data and a very limited user behavior. Now, that's the key. When you go into the production, you are missing the drifts. You are having conflicting data values that are coming in. You have different or the diverse consumer behavior that comes in or creeps in. Plus, you have so many regulatory constraints. When you are developing any of the pilots or the POCs, you never think about compliances, but that becomes, really important when you go into the production, and things will not work if you are not compliant to certain geographical regulations. Also, I think if you are, as a leaders, if you are looking to have successful POCs translating into productions, then probably start from the POC or the MVP stage itself by putting in a lot of foundational elements like data contracts or monitorings and the audit logs and the safety or the guardrail mechanisms into the design. And you'll see their playbooks. They'll also talk about that. And thirdly, I think platform and life cycle of the project needs due consideration. So concepts like data ops and LLM ops comes really handy. In case that's not in place, probably POC to production is too far. Things looks really rosy on 1,000 rows of data for LLMs, but it really starts getting into rate limiting errors and technical API failures as you go into 100,000 or 1 millions of transactions. And apart from that, token cost, everything goes haywire without knowing how to handle it. So from that perspective, it is important that we look at the platform and the infrastructure. So just don't get too too rosy to celebrate those POCs. Fund the boring plumbing guidelines, maybe with respect to data readiness, maybe with respect to guardrails, MLOps, support models to get you to a scale and create a central AI platform and operating model. Individual use cases should be tenants of that platform, not standalone adventures, where we are just saying that everybody, 15 people created 15 POCs without any kind of standardization. And I think for this, best is to leverage AI to build AI products.
We often see organizations building products that simply embed AI as a feature, or at best, digital products built using AI tools with zero to no native AI functionality. But there's also the idea of building AI products, right? How should companies and young consulting firms supporting them think about the difference between products built on AI versus AI products?
There's a very fine line between three things over here, which I have observed over last couple of years. We are talking about product development using AI. That means we use AI tools to develop faster. So our GTM is, really fast and short. For example, we are using Cursor for coding and other stuff. So that's where you build any kind of product, whether it is digital, physical, whatever, and most of us are working in the digital space. So those kind of coding assistants, those kind of architectural assistants, those becomes important. So product development using AI is corresponding to those kind of a concept where AI helps us in faster GTMs. The second area is products having AI as a feature. Now, there are a lot of digital products that comes, that we are using on a daily basis. It could be a food ordering app like Zomato, Swiggy, or it could be a transportation app like Ola, Uber. You'll see, they have the traditional digital capabilities from customer features perspective, but they're also having some of the AI functionalities as part of their digital ecosystems. It could be a chatbot, it could be a ticket raising system, it could be something else. So you have certain elements of AI being embedded as part of the user features or the user workflow. So that's something that products are having AI as feature, and it could be a part of physical products also. It could be a part of simple workflows also. In US, I remember that for the patent office, patents and trademark office, which is USPTO, they were the early adopters of AI when they started to classify patents into categories relevant for officers and examiners. So those kind of things were really, in early days when we were not even using any AI into any of the digital products here in Asia. But they were, the government side was really proactive in picking up the AI. So that's where we say that, you have a digital product line, you identify if some feature can be converted or backed up by AI, and that can add value to operational efficiency or customer experience. And then third comes the AI products development by themselves. So AI products are native products, which are products which are having underlying multiple AI components at the back end. For example, a voice bot for sales. You do cold calling or you are reaching out to the customers. Now you need entity recognitions, you need intent detections, you need agent orchestrations, you need actions into the system through some APIs. So you have multiple agents working and coordinating with each other on an artificially created intelligence at the back end, learning from the user behavior and remembering what happened in the past. So those kind of systems, when are defined and developed, they make great AI products. So I think these are the three levels where I see that the differentiation lies. And I think as a team, as a young team, you should all ask yourself in each initiative: is AI a feature for you, or is this an AI native product or agent that could redefine the process? I think you can also help your clients move from cool AI widgets to portfolio bets on AI native products, because that's where the world is also moving, tied to the core P&L impact. And this needs acceleration in new ways of working, in my view. And when I say newer ways of working, I think it's more towards going in the direction of AI development life cycles.
Which brings me to my next question as well. So, as AI capabilities mature, organizations are moving beyond the traditional software delivery and towards AI augmented solutions and workflows, like you mentioned. How is AI changing the way enterprises design solutions and then eventually structure end-to-end business processes, both in terms of tech and tools?
We have seen that in last probably 2 to 3 years, with the advent of LLMs, we have seen drastic movement from SDLC to AIDLC. So, which essentially means that we are transitioning from software engineering to more of AI engineering. When I say software engineering, the traditional model was code, test, and deploy. That was a simple, straightforward, linear model that all of us are aware of, and we have been doing this for so many years. But now within AI engineering, when we see the shift, we say that it's not just code, it is code plus models plus prompts plus data. And then that goes towards evals, then that goes toward deployment stage, then that goes towards feedback, and then we iterate over it. So it's a development life cycle which is demanding some additional components, and the way we are creating and developing these kind of products. So it's a paradigm shift, in my view, for all the organizations, where we go from process centric to more intent centric, because intent matters in all of these AI systems, and we are looking AI as a co-designer and a digital twin engine for us. And from that perspective, even the tooling has shifted from a stack perspective. If you look at AI first engineering principles today, you'll see a drastic tooling shift. In fact, from the software engineering point of view, transitioning to AI engineering with the help of tools is the new fundamentals that we are seeing in the industry today. You work on the ideation part, as part of the AI engineering. You go to the executable specifications, or specs, as we say. You go to the architecture as code. You do the agentic coding. You have eval gates available to you. You deploy it, and then you have production observability into the consideration. That's the AI engineering life cycle that we are defining. And now this is getting automated with the help of tools. For example, today, most of the people are doing ideation using tools like Lovable. They do the prototyping. There's no PRDs that are there. They are directly putting into the Lovable the prompts, the requirements that they want, and they see a prototype, working prototype out of it that generates some markdown files. Then you have specifications and business rules coming in with something like GitHub Spec Kit. So we are talking about SDDs here, where Spec Kit driven development is happening. You have specifications in the form of rare, clear requirements and the business rules that you want to follow. Then you have diagram as code that is coming up, something like Mermaid or Plant UML kind of tools. They are generating those architectural diagrams, HLDs and LLDs. So combine all three of them. So specs, so MD file from the Lovable, specs from the SDDs, and diagram as code architectures from Mermaid and Plant UML. You put inside something like Cursor, and it will start generating the code for you. So that's the kind of automation that we are talking about. And then on top of that, you're putting in evals through something like Phoenix or Arise or Galileos, and then using Versals for the deployments and Dynatrace for the observability to understand how much stable your systems are. So you're talking about completely automating the AI engineering pipeline, where you have all the tools readily available at each stage, and those tools are integrable by themselves. And on top of that, most of the ecosystems you see in the world today is moving towards this model, because you have standardized protocols also coming up. You have MCPs, you have A2A, you have open telemetry standards, which allows you to integrate your observability from one system to another. So this is how you are interacting with external or even legacy ecosystems for most of the items. And I think apart from these, there are a couple of more components that are emerging in the form of knowledge pipelines, which can be done through something like Llama Index, or prompt lifecycle management, which can be done through something like Prompt Layer, or model routing or gardens that can be managed through something like Martian or Portkey or Light LLM. And there could be human loop based human feedback. So they are also being used inside this AI first engineering principle. So combine all of that, and then you are looking at redesigning the target operating models and workflows, assuming conversations, orchestrations, and human in the loop as the default pattern. So I would say that invest in design partners and tools that let you iterate quickly on AI experiences rather than long waterfall projects. Those are the gone days, and this only does not just require the upskilling part, but also restructuring in terms of skills and the changing ways of working. So yeah, that's what is the paradigm shift that we are seeing across most of the hyperscalers and the top product organizations.
So, Dr. Rajan, if you can emphasize more on the changing ways of working, right? So, as AI begins to handle research, like you're saying, and even first drafts of work, are we moving towards structurally smaller and AI augmented teams? And what does that mean for traditional consulting pyramid models?
I think AI is becoming co-worker for sure for all of us. As I explained that there are a lot of tools that are available, and those are getting integrated into some sort of agents, which becomes a co-worker for us. That's becoming a reality now. Whether that helps you to shorten up your teams or not, it really depends on the scale of the projects. But you still have somebody who is 24 cross 7 available to you for at your disposal. I think from consulting pyramid models point of view, the firms will have to be an extension of business or client teams, having some sort of forward deployed engineers deploying your platforms or products or services to the client's environment. That's where what we are seeing as a concept of FDs emerging. And generally for delivery models, we see that squads and pod structures are changing from the traditional ways of working, like you used to have product and front end and back end, to, let's say, product and engineering and data evaluations and the prompt design. So those kind of newer things are emerging. We see that even the squads are getting smaller in terms of the type of skills required for everyone. Since you have the luxury of having more AI tools at your disposal now, you have roles getting enlarged from different skill sets point of view. Let's say an AI product manager is expected to work on business problem solving and understanding, and customer experience and engagement, the product analytics side, the user experience side. So earlier you used to have three different people managing all these areas, but now with the advent of AI tools, you can have more skill sets being available to a single person. So product managers in the space of AI is kind of becoming broad. AI systems engineers are kind of emerging, where they understand the backend, the LLMs, the agentic frameworks, the RAGs of the world. So they can understand it and systemize the pipelines for working of any of the products. And I think AI evaluation engineers are also now becoming critical, where model selections, fine tunings, and the eval data sets, the benchmarking, quality gates, governance, all of these things which are really critical to any of the AI products are being managed by these guys. So you see, typically in a squad, we see product managers, or a tech lead or an architect, an AI systems engineer, and AI evaluation engineer. These three, four types of roles are defining the squads. And then depending on different initiatives under the product, or different deliverables under the products, you are defining those number of squads for that product. So that's how I think things are changing. And you can also think about building more of a platform from consulting point of view, which can be generalized for a larger client base, and things can be reused, because with AI you can develop faster. So you can work on the reusability component and the optimization part as a human expert, and then start leveraging it to deploy it at multiple places. And that's where the FDE concepts comes in. So I think the bottom line is focus on right skills for the new ways of working.
So, what skills or mindset will distinguish professionals who thrive in the AI embedded organizations while those who struggle to adapt?
Some are fundamental. You have problem framing and decompositions and design thinking that remains really fundamental to everyone. Nobody can escape from thinking from a systems point of view rather than just solving a problem in isolation. That's not workable today. I think AI literacy, data literacy, prompt literacy, that much of literacy has to be there with everyone now. There's no distinction that, only a technical developer should know how to prompt. Everybody should know how to prompt, because even if you are not a developer of the system, you are always a consumer of the system. So you should know how to consume, how to, have the best out of that systems or break that system. Plus, you should know when and how to use different AI tools. There's a problem of plenty around us. You'll have 500 different tools, so you should understand that what works well for you and where to use those tools. You can't overuse those tools as well. For everything and anything you start using AI tools, that's also not required. So you understand when and how to use those kind of tools. And I think we all become orchestrators for the machines and the algorithm. So you'll see every day new algo, new model, new technique coming up. So you become the orchestrator between multiple such new developments. So that's a really critical skill that's developing. So you understand the tools, you understand the concepts, models, algorithms, and you orchestrate between all of them. You can't say that, OpenAI released a model yesterday and today I'm going to deploy it. No, you should know the nuances around it. When to deploy it is a critical skill to have. And as a consulting firm, you should not overcommit or undercommit, such kind of a thing. So that's where, skill sets becomes comfortable. And I think you should all be comfortable with experimentations and co-creations with AI. You never know where innovation can happen. You never know where optimization can happen. And, be comfortable with AI rather than, seeing it as a threat. And I think for all of that, you can start practicing internally. And if required, you guys can all set up a small AI COE or Center of Excellence or some sort of an R&D lab where you start with small experimentations and then, be more comfortable inside the organization and start selling it outside.
So about R&D labs, right? And some of your discussions, you've highlighted the importance, and just as you said right now as well. For a young company like Navigance, how would you suggest building similar capabilities to stay relevant in an AI-driven world?
I think for all of you and similar stature of organizations, it is, you can see from both the lenses. It can be a threat also to all of you. It can be an opportunity also to differentiate via your own intellectual property or assets that you create. As an enterprise R&D mindset, you bring out something valuable to the business processes or the product development. So I think large firms are already using a lot of internal AI platforms, and hyperscalers are always there to support the large scale. And from that perspective, there are a few areas which I see can be beneficial. Probably focus on solving subset of a larger problem in AI product development. That can be one of the areas, if not end-to-end access, because many a times we see that there's a struggle between comparing a service provider, a consulting firm, a small product company versus hyperscalers. You always, have that kind of a comparison that if OpenAI is giving us this at such a low cost, then why should we, go out and trust your development? So those kind of things will keep emerging. So either pick up a subset of a large problem and create an expertise around it, or you can be a domain expert where models and data provisions becomes your key assets or key IP, where you are having that access to a lot of domain knowledge in the form of small language models or in the form of some curated data sets or in the form of automating a process within those domains and industries. So that becomes really key. Or there are a lot of organizations that would require machine translation systems where you convert the legacy to more conversational systems. A lot of people are now moving towards that. One is that nobody wants to do a click behavior with respect to the system, so I just want to have conversational layer on top of that. So that can be an area where you can pick up, because in my view interfaces are becoming conversational, and hence the need for different kind of AI skills and approaches required from consulting point of view. So that can be a really value added layer for all the organizations and most of you.
As I understand, conversational AI is the next big blow, right? So, as conversational AI becomes a new interface for interacting with enterprise systems, how should organizations rethink how our employees access data, insights, and workflows through natural language interactions?
Yeah, I think conversational AI comes with a lot of nuances by themselves. So, firstly, any tool that you're using, any system that you're using must be compliant. That is where we may result in leaking a lot of sensitive data for ourselves, leaking a lot of IP for ourselves. So just see that you are compliant by the local regulations. It could be DPDP in India, it could be GDPR in Europe, it could be something like HIPAA in healthcare states. So those kind of things you should take care. Look at the risk of using those systems, assess those risks. It could be a data leakage, IP leakage, a lot of employees from Samsung unknowingly uploaded their IP onto the platform, and they had to scrap the entire product for that year. So it's a big loss. So just try and understand that what kind of risk are there when you are switching to any sort of such conversational AI system. Then security becomes really crucial in that case. So red teamings and rag poisonings and prompt injections, these kind of things can really change the systems and the behavior of that system. So just make sure that your systems are secured enough, and ethically you are also correct in the conversations, because it has a natural tendency to be biased towards a lot of trends that it has learned over time, and it can also start generating a bit of harmful content in terms of enterprise knowledge, and because the knowledge and the data sets become stale over time, and it starts to interpret differently over time. So just see that the systems are ethically correct in terms of generating the content. And as you are conversing, I think the most of the systems are protected by guardrails today. So as a solution, whenever you are adopting something, make sure that all the relevant guardrails are in place, and these kind of guardrail validators can be made a part of evaluation component for the AI DLC or the conversational AI systems. So that's where I think it can be helpful.
From your experience working with multiple organizations, what are some of the most practical use cases and unexpected lessons that emerge when conversational AI is deployed in real enterprise environments?
I think I'll talk for the recent 3 to 5 years where a lot of conversational AI systems emerged. Uh, Earlier, we always used to have those very fixed flow-based kind of NLP models working around any of the systems, whether it's FAQ-based models, frequently asked questions, or a very standard flow-driven IVR calls. Whenever you're calling up, even today, whenever you are calling up in any of the Indian systems, you'll see something like press 1 for English, 2 for Hindi. Then is it something with respect to your bill reimbursement or something that sort of? So that's an IVR flow, which is very rigid in structure. So those kind of things are now moving away, and I see most of the use cases are now free flowing in nature from the conversations point of view. They can understand different modalities today. That means they can converse with you via text, via images, via videos, via voice. So modality is changing the way conversational AI systems are developed and used. Linguality is something that's changing the way conversational AI systems are being designed and used. So, you can talk in cross languages. You are speaking in Hindi, and the bot is responding in English, or vice versa, or in your native language also. If you're conversing with somebody who is on the other side of the system, you can have translations being done seamlessly. There are a lot of places where we see that language plays really crucial part in designing of the conversational AI systems, because LLMs works on the concept of tokens and context management. And you see, as you change the language, the number of tokens also changes. Very quick example, with German language we see 1.6 times more usage of tokens than English language. So that changes the cost dynamics, that changes the engineering dynamics, that changes the LLM usage dynamics for us, latency dynamics for us. So we have to adjust to those kind of systems. So again, as the modality changes the dynamics, the linguality also changes the dynamics. And the third dimension, which we see as a learning curve for us, is the channel dynamics. So somebody who is coming from different channel expects same kind of behavior, but designing and giving that seamless behavior to everyone from for coming you for users coming from all the channels is really difficult. So, somebody is accessing your digital product via web, via mobile app, via, let's say, a WhatsApp, via Apple Business Chat Center, via hotlines, via accessing into a retail stores. So, there could be multiple channels through which customers are accessing your digital products. You do not want to end up having different product lines for all these touch points and all these channels. So you want to create a single code base. First of all, you want to unify everything. Plus, you want to also see that users get seamless experience on the conversational AI front from any channel that they log in. So those kind of learnings we have seen that, earlier it was not the case, but now we are standardizing and we are moving towards that phase. And I think from the use case point of view, I have seen that customer care services centers and those kind of use cases are really big now. They have really matured. A lot of product companies have got $1 million and $1 billion of funding on top of that, because they've built the end-to-end systems on top of that. So I think that has emerged as a really big use case. Even in the Anthropic's recent paper on AI's impact on the labor market, saw that customer care center executives are kind of getting impacted. The second has been the productivity improvement areas where co-pilots and integrated workflow assistants are becoming really crucial. Public search space I have seen has a lot of AI flavor. Perplexity became so big in quick amount of time, shows that the way we were searching and accessing information has to be changed. And now you have AI browsers and AI search engines and artificial engine optimizations coming in. So those kind of things are emerging, and they are changing the dynamics of digital marketing as well. Plus, you see a lot of IDs getting developed. So that's another AI use case where software development, code development is taking really a good center stage. So these are some of the large scale use cases which I've seen being deployed in some of the top organizations.
So, as conversational AI becomes a thinking partner for professionals, helping frame problems, analyze information, and generate ideas, how do you see the nature of knowledge work and decision making evolve inside the organizations?
We have to change, that's for sure. Change is the only constant, not just in the AI era, in any era. So from that perspective, there are a few things that we can take care of. First is that AI literacy is a must for all the levels. Uh, Either you are at a beginner's level, intermediate level, senior, mid senior to senior level, or at the executive leadership level, everybody has to be AI literate now. You cannot just ignore that change. I think autonomy has to be decided, or autonomy level has to be decided between humans and machines. So, whenever you are creating bot, how much autonomous behavior you want to embed in that bot versus how much you want to keep as part of your human processes and behaviors. So, what is the right combination is something that you'll have to see and work out in the near future. Human labelers and annotators will be really precious. I was talking to an organization where they only provide human annotation services. So, that's where people are not really convinced with LLM as judges. They still want some experts to be available to label what's getting generated out of any of the AI system. So that's going to be really precious for near future. Then I think as we move towards the AI first principles development, and the system starts to design few things, clarity of thoughts will become really critical for all of us, as AI systems will be heavily dependent on spec driven development. So those specifications have to be really clearly defined. So from the future perspective, I think those who will be able to crack this problem, that you have the right specs being available to the AI systems, would really be fast and accurate in their product development. Then I think since models are becoming commodities today, hyperscalers will anyways rule the world from the modeling perspective, the worlds of OpenAIs and the Googles and all those areas. So I think the USP for most of us would be around data and the evals and the benchmark data sets and the product UX and the workflow integration. So how quickly you can create, iterate, and integrate those products into any of the client's ecosystem, any of the enterprise ecosystem, would be really critical to have. So if you can solve that, again, that can be a good USP. And I think model routing and costing will become really critical in near future. Today, everybody goes back to a default model, but as hyperscalers are emerging and they are providing us really good competitive and intelligent models, it would be really difficult to pick one. So you will need some sort of routing and orchestration between the models, and there are a lot of platforms that are emerging in this area around, for example, Martian and Portkey and Light LLM, which allows you to orchestrate between them. So if you can have your own orchestration layer as an IP, it can be a really good differentiator in near future. And I think some time has to be spent on upcoming advancements also, and pick the right areas for your use case, including broad level of tech advancements, like you want to look into quantum technology from speed of processing point of view, or you want to look at the architectural changes that are happening around the agentic or the multi-agentic system. So we see that when we started with single agent theory, then we went into the multi-agent theory. Now today, Anthropic and the OpenAIs of the world says that we should go back to the single agent theory with multiple skills being added to a single agent. So these kind of architectural patterns are still not stabilized. So in near future, I think if you can master a couple of applications on top of a stable architecture around the agents, that would be a really good win for all the people working in this area, and they can really claim that we have the skill and the expertise of creating a stable application at scale. So I think these are some of the things that I see how knowledge worker will have to work. If he or she has these kind of areas covered up, I think he or she can really contribute well towards the organizational growth.
So, Dr. Rajan, we have explored some deep ideas today. Now, before we conclude, let's switch gears and do a quick rapid fire round. Just 5 questions, quick answers, no overthinking. So, the first question is one enterprise function where conversational AI will create the biggest impact in the next 3 years. Your thoughts about it?
Customer services domain. So service centers are going to be faded, and they will see the biggest impact of AI. So I think that's really matured, and I would still say I've seen multi-billion dollar investments in this area. So I might be a little biased, but yeah, customer services domain.
One mistake organizations repeatedly make when adopting AI.
Very fundamental, but ignoring data quality. I think we still do not consider a lot about data quality, and general purpose models provided by hyperscalers are based on general data sets. Enterprise models will succeed only if enterprise data quality is good. So, just focus on the data quality, which is being ignored.
One skill every consultant, every employee should build in the AI era.
Although it could have been technical, but I would say customer experience workflows, because understanding customer is key today. If you can't understand your customers, and can't understand their experience, can't create a simple workflows for them, I think you are bound to fail, I would say, because most of the products which are getting successful today are the ones which have really cool customer experience journeys and the workflows.
Smaller teams or more productive teams? Which future do you see AI driving?
think AI will definitely have productivity enhancements. We have seen that very closely in our teams. I've seen that in a lot more organizations around the world. So I think AI is gonna have productivity enhancements. I have not seen that much of smaller teams in the sense that uh, people are not working on anything. So the roles are changing, the responsibilities are changing. They are being used for different kind of products or projects, but productivity has certainly been enhanced.
One capability companies should invest in today to become AI native organizations.
I think start with the org level AI strategy. I have talked about it a lot at open forums, and I think a lot of organization doesn't have an org level AI strategy, which does not allow people to have a clear mindset that what do we want to achieve with AI. So, have that strategic mindset, top down, it should work, and invest in innovation and problem solving using AI tools. So, start giving us slightly free hand to a few set of people to come back with a lot of good problem areas being solved using AI tools.
All right. Thank you for being so impromptu. So I think in the interest of time, we have a couple of minutes left. So we'd want to open it up for the audience. If there are quick questions or reflections,
We have a
you
couple of
can.
questions. Yeah, we have a couple
There
of
are a few in
questions.
Q&A.
Yeah, I'll start with Megha's question. Megha says, love the term AI DLC, process centric to intent centric. Very good phrasing. She wants to know about reusability. She says we've been going back and forth on agent reusability and primitives component reusability. What's been your experience on that front?
Yeah, I think agent reusability has been pretty good for us. I'll give you an example. We started with the chatbot. One of the project involved around chatbot, and that was built on agentic principles. So the agent that we built for handling a domain expertise inside that chatbot uh, got translated or reused in different regions when we translated it to a local language point of view. It was reused from the modality point of view. So when we moved from chat to voice, all the principles that were used inside the agent to have that kind of an intelligent behavior was used or reused effectively. And also, with little adjustments, we were able to reuse for different channels also. So as we were, seeing a change in channel language and modality, we were able to use a lot of agentic capabilities from one application to another. So I would say yes, it has been pretty good. And if you thoughtfully design the agentic systems, if you craftfully use their capabilities, they can be very well reused.
Yeah. And so the first question is on the demos. You said that demos are very impressive, right, with AI. But on when we go at scale, right, the companies are underestimating the long-term infra cost and the AI cost. So what is your view on that? How do we need to take it up?
I think that's where the experience comes in, that from scaled up application point of view, what are the assets that you need to create? What are the investments that you need to make? And what kind of infra and people you will need to have? From there, you start traversing back towards your demo, start linking it towards the demo, saying that, hey, these are the set of three features that we want to demonstrate, and these are workable, but as we scale up, these are the kind of investments that we need to make as well. So I think clear ROI has to be explained when we are showing the POCs, and then tying it back to the scaled up use case. So that's where I think a couple of failures would help you to learn more, I would say. But if you have experience on building scaled up products, you will understand that what all things you need to emphasize in the demo part as well.
The second question is we see a lot of enterprises using the same foundation models, right? And the models that are available in the market, and we are experimenting with that. For a service-based companies, what does a real competitive advantage in AI actually come from? So do we need to go with the models that are available in the market, or do you say that we need to invest on tuning the models, or where is that we need to see as a service-based company?
Right. Um, I see that, lesser dependency on hyperscalers would be really beneficial for most of the service providers. You see, even in India, if Gyani and Servams and those players which are building indigenous models, they are winning the race against somebody like OpenAI or Google or somebody of that stature. So from that perspective, building domain specific models, process specific models, task specific models for enterprises would gonna be really key consideration point for you all, because data is the key here. And as you get into any sort of contractual agreement with the clients, you get access to that data, and then your skills can be demonstrated by utilizing that data to create something meaningful, intelligent product out of it. So from that perspective, it's going to be really crucial that you focus on open source technology being uh, tuned and trained on enterprise data where you want to invest your time on, rather than depending on hyperscalers, because you cannot fix, control a black box system for yourself or for your client. So you will be in a really big trouble, in my view, if you adopt a black box approach.
You mentioned about
Yeah.
quantum AI, right?
Yeah.
The AI on the quantum. So how do you see the quantum shaping up in the future? And when is the right time to get invested in the quantum?
I think the right time is now,
Okay.
because now that you have solved for the intelligence, you want to solve for the processing speeds. So the biggest problem with AI products today is, uh, computationally we take a lot of time to get to the next version of intelligent model. That means, if you see the progression line, GPT-1 to GPT-2 to GPT-3 to 4 to 5, it has taken, a decade at least. Yeah, 10 years or 12 years from that development journey point of view. If we really want to achieve AGI, which is around general intelligence, I think we need to iterate and compute faster. And for that, you need a really good technology which can support those fast computations and iterations, because data is increasing at an enormous pace. And you need to capture all those nuances, all those scenarios, all those permutations and combinations into your models. So your processing has to be really quick and fast. So from that perspective, quantum gives us that leverage as a technology where, at the lightning speed, it can do the processings. And hence, if a hyperscaler is investing now, probably the data centers, any physical layered companies, any infrastructure company must start investing there, and that can be a good differentiator for you also, in terms of offering services around that.
Just help me on this. One of the questions you said, where one organizations can place importance is on the data quality. Okay?
Yes.
What I was curious is, given the time that most people are seeing today, look, you can make updates over the air. Anyway, it is more of a tolerant thing where you can continue to improve it. The models are also evolving. What is the degree of seriousness you see in enterprises to data quality? Or are they taking it like, look, it is anyway evolutionary. I can live with this level of lack of quality. How do you drive that seriousness?
Very valid question, I would say, and a very eye-opening thing for a lot of large-scale enterprises, because the problem with the enterprises is that there's no single data ownership that resides inside any of the organizations. So, the data is getting generated in silos, getting stored in silos, and from the privacy and the accesses point of view, it is not accessible to everyone. Every kind of data is not accessible. So from that perspective, uh, it is available in a very layered format, and people who are responsible for generating it are also responsible for maintaining the qualities around it. When we say quality, it could be freshness, it could be recencies, it could be structuring, formatting, any sort of how you are maintaining those repos. So from all of those perspectives, I think unification of central data strategy has to be the biggest problem that large enterprises needs to solve and scale this up. But with a caveat saying that it shouldn't be that sensitive information gets leaked out. So how do you solve it? By maintaining those data sensitivity levels. So organizations are kind of pretty much serious about this topic, but since this is a very complex problem to be solved, I think the unification with the right set of compliances and risks that are involved in cross sharing the data. In fact, a lot of organizations today fear that we do not want to interact with any of the AI systems because of the data leakages, even after having a legal contract, a legal binding contract being signed. So from that perspective, I think sensitivity levels have to be defined, and you can work on the lower sensitive data points at least to unify and bring them to a common AI system, and then think about solving for higher sensitive data. So organizations are serious, but there is a very complex layer that exists in all the enterprises.
So Gartner predicts more than 40% of agentic AI projects will be cancelled by the end of 2027. So what is your view and take on that?
Yeah, I think many of those organizations who have started with agentic AI were not solving for automation, but solving for generation using agentic. In my view, agentic is more fitted towards autonomy. If you want to have those kind of processes being automated inside any of the business processes, I think that is where you start using agents and agentic behavior. I think the fitment is a problem for a lot of organizations today. That the right business problem, having the right use case towards agentic AI is not being understood well, and people are jumping onto using this technology very soon, just under peer pressure or social media pressure kind of situation, or boardroom pressure, in fact. So from that perspective, I think selection of the right uh, tool and the technology would be really critical to avoid such kind of failures. So I see it's more of a mismatch between technology versus the requirement.
My question is a little more on a implementation side, like, the issue that I feel is the, consistency, because LLMs are generating responses, either agentic. So they are not very consistent. Like, every iteration, they might change the response. And that raises the question of, again, explainability and then again, the reliability. So means, how do you handle, such situations like?
Yeah, fantastic question. We thought that we were always living in a rigid deterministic workflow and we needed more flexibility. We invented LLMs, and now we want LLMs who were flexible in their approaches to be more deterministic. So that's the infinite loop that we all are stuck in. Again, if I may ask, what kind of use case you are solving? Is it a conversational use case or a more standardized use case?
No, standardized use case. A standardized use case, for example.
Yeah. So let's take an example. If we are doing a price prediction, price prediction, which involves a lot of mathematical variables and a lot of feature extraction, those are the places where probably LLMs are not really good enough to generate a consistent output.
Right.
Whereas when we say that some sort of articulation, some sort of response generation is required, which is free flowing in nature, that is where LLMs works better. So essentially, they were more inclined towards conversational AI systems and not for deterministic systems. But the problem arises when we start using a probabilistic system to solve a deterministic problem. That is where we see a lot of mismatch. Having said that, still we are having evaluation component layer, which can help us to understand the consistencies, and we can fine tune the prompts to make them become more consistent. It may not be exactly a replica of what it has produced in the past, but the intent has to be the same. So that's where I said that process centric to intent centric is where we are shifting. And intent, if something we can preserve, that's a good win for us. And could also be an issue that we have seen with LLMs ingesting longer prompts. So lost in the middle kind of a situation happens where LLMs tends to prefer the information or instructions at the start of the prompt and the end of the prompt, but tends to forget about following the instructions which are available in the middle. So we have seen that when the prompts become longer, let's say 8,000, 10,000 tokens or words, then it starts to behave inconsistently as well. So you can also check the prompt lengths. There are a lot of papers that are available which talks about the appropriate prompt length as per the use cases. So you can take a cue from there as well to make LLMs more consistent.
As we close, I believe the action for all of us is simple. Keep experimenting, keep building, and keep thinking about how AI can reshape the problems we solve. Thank you, Dr. Rajan, and thank you everyone for taking out the time for this conversation today. Until next time, keep learning.